In the war on terrorism, Italy's defense minister says the European nation would most likely allow the use of its air bases and airspace for strikes against Islamic State militants in Libya if the United States asks. Roberta Pinotti's statement came during a testimony Wednesday to Italy's lower house of parliament. American warplanes began bombing Islamic State targets in Libya on Monday at the request of the UN-backed government in Tripoli to help push militants from their former stronghold of Sirte. Now, for more on the situation in Libya, joining us via Skype is Carla Babb. Carla, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Carla, the UN-backed government of National Accord has difficulties imposing its authority and even winning backing from factions in eastern Libya. Give us an update on the latest on the U.S. strikes there.
Well, as this operation is continuing, there have been about 8 U.S. strikes in support of the forces aligned with the government and National Accord. That's the UN-backed government in Libya. There were 3 yesterday, according to a Pentagon official. He said that one of the ones was hitting an excavator, another one hit a rocket launcher, and a third strike hit this big truck that had a big, massive gun that was strapped on the back of it. Then there were 5 on Monday. Those 5 on Monday, when the strike started, hit 2 tanks, hit 2 construction vehicles, and then also hit an Islamic State fighting position.
And Carla, why the U.S. airstrikes now?
Well, that's a great question, because there have been fighting, there's been ongoing fighting for months between Islamic State fighters and these forces. But the United States puts it this way. They go, they've been successful so far. They've pretty much taken the territory all the way from Tripoli to Benghazi and reduced the Islamic State's control to this city center of Sirte. And so the United States is going to help them get across the finish line, because there's been some problems in Sirte. One of those tanks that I was telling you about has been called a menacing problem. It was in an area where they were hitting civilians with that tank, and the forces with the support of the Libyan government would move forward, and then they'd get pushed back by the Islamic State thanks to that tank. So by the U.S. forces coming in and taking out that one piece of equipment that had been pushing and stopping all of these forces, the forces are already in that part of Sirte now and continuing to push against the Islamic State. And, you know, aside from that, the President of the United States just said yesterday that it's in the U.S. national security interest to make sure that the Libyans finish the job against Islamic State in Libya, because the United States is not just fighting the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. It's also fighting in Afghanistan, Libya, and wherever the Islamic State rears its head.
And Carla, do we know how long this is going to continue?
Well, Pentagon officials say that this is a very finite mission, that the United States has been authorized to conduct these strikes in and around Sirte to help the Libyan forces that are aligned with the government push the Islamic State out of that particular stronghold. They say it's expected to take weeks, not months.
And do we know, Carla, how does this actually compare to the previous airstrikes in Libya?
Well, the previous airstrikes in Libya were targeting these high-value Islamic State targets. So they weren't on the request of the Libyan government. They were done by the United States to take out specific Islamic State fighters that they deemed worthy to take out. Now they've got the Libyan government asking for these strikes in support of a specific operation as the Libyan forces aligned with this government are pushing Islamic State out. So it's a very different situation.
No, thank you so much, Carla.
Thank you.
Carla Babb is a VOA correspondent at the Pentagon, reporting there live via Skype.